Passport bro alert. This video proves that feminine women exist and some are in Germany. So I have a video from Saraya. Go check out her channel, subscribe to her. There's a link to her channel description of the video. I mean, guys, it's pretty interesting what's happening right now in Western society. MK Fitness actually talked about this in one of my live streams. I predicted many years ago that men would begin leaving Western society. I made a video called Men Leaving the West, and men would walk away from Western society. But when you look at how things are going and how Western society is becoming a burden just to live in, MK Fitness talked about this, where he said that people would leave Western society and begin going to other countries and seeking asylum in other countries on the grounds of being economic refugees, saying that they could no longer afford to live in the United States and that their obligations were so large in these countries that if they went back to these countries, they would face the equivalent of significant persecution and be placed in what we would call debtor's prison. And they would not be wrong. Like, the harsh conditions they would face in the US would be so substantial. You have people who are moving out to the woods right now and setting up camp there, and you have federal agents and law enforcement that are going out to the woods and dragging these people back to society. These are people who have not committed any crimes. These are people who have not done anything wrong. And they're going after these people and dragging them back to society. And a lot of you guys think this is a game, but it really is not a game. It's not a joke. No one can afford these rents. When as the job market begins to continue to contract, being told that we have the best economy ever. Gen Z is so lucky. This is the worst economy in probably the last 100 years. It absolutely is. And I mean, it's bad. It is bad, like Great Recession level bad. It is absolutely Great Recession level bad, but it's being covered up. And you know, it's not going to get any better. And as people can no longer afford to survive because everyone's living off credit right now, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars in just personal debt, just buying food and the basic necessities, and then they just can't do it anymore. And now they're facing homelessness. They're going to go to other countries and they're going to basically say, hey, I'm an economic refugee. If back in my home country, I'm facing persecution. I can't afford to live there. I'm homeless. I have, like, if I go back, I'm in a living hell. And this is a reality. This is an absolute reality. I've said this before and I'll say it again. A country without its men is not a country. A country without its men is a wasteland. Women in Western society, they view men as property. They honestly do. This is the reason why they get so pissed off when they see passport kings going overseas, and they run their mouths whenever they go on the attack against women who date these men, because they view these men as their property, and they're like, who the hell do these women think they are, touching what belongs to us? And these women know that they're being disrespectful when they say that women in other countries are poor, they don't speak English, they're desperate. They know exactly what they're doing, and they won't stop doing this because they're trying to send a message. They want to shame, they want to intimidate, and they want to warn these women to don't touch these men, because even though they despise these men, even though they don't like these men, even though they say they don't want these men are their property. These men are basically their meal ticket. This is how they survive, and that's really what they're putting out there. Let's just go ahead and jump into the video from Soraya.
Would you mind if I critique another video from the YouTube channel International Passport, which features a young Armenian woman who actually lives in Germany, and she speaks about what she is looking for in a man. And I pinky Turkish promise to you that you are going to love this video, for one, and for two, you are going to soon realize that this young woman's expectation on a man is a lot different from the expectation of a woman who has been westernized, who is modern, who is strong and independent, who you can tell nothing. Okay, let me stop. Let's get right into the video. Let's go. So everyone, meet Hannah. Hannah lives in Germany, like I said, and the guy from the YouTube channel International Passport actually interviewed her, and what she's about to say is going to blow your mind and let you know that a lot of women over here in Germany are wifey material. Of course, you have your 304s too, because 304s are just a universal thing, but then again, there are a lot of women here in Germany who grow up in a traditional household and who knows the true value of being a woman in a relationship.
Anna is what do you want in a guy? Do you want a masculine? What do you want? What do you want in a guy? Do you want a masculine guy, a tall guy, a short guy up to here? Why masculine? Why?
I feel attracted to manly men, very, very much. Real manly men. A manly man who can teach me something, who is more likely to be a husband, not only a boyfriend type.
See how she didn't say anything like he has to make 6 figures, he has to be 6 feet tall, he has to pay my bills, he has to take my shopping. He has to prove to me that he is worth me being feminine to him. Instead of that, Hannah said, I'm looking for a masculine, manly man who can teach me something, who can be more to me, more than just a boyfriend. And gentlemen, let me tell you, her mindset is letting us know that this woman and many women who are thinking and behaving like her are not just going out dating anyone that they come across or who they can benefit from. No, if these women don't see a husband potential in you, they will not date you because they are not here to waste any time. She's also not acting like she is the prize, because women who think that they are a prize, you can't tell them nothing. They are perfect. They know everything better, and they damn sure don't need to learn anything from you. But Hannah is different.
We only like masculine men, and yeah.
Fantastic. So if you want a masculine man, right, I expect you to be feminine as a woman. So are you a feminine woman?
I guess.
Anna?
Yes.
Okay.
I guess I am more feminine type of girl.
Okay. Tell me why you see yourself as feminine. Do you cook? Do you clean?
Yes.
Do you like just very girly? Tell me why you're a feminine woman, Anna.
I am feminine because I want to represent myself always the most feminine I can.
Still, Hannah didn't mention anything about the man's income. You know how many clips are out on the internet where women are talking about my man has to make a certain amount of money in order for me to be taken care of, in order for me to be feminine. Listen, honey, either you are feminine or you are not. Just like Hannah said in the clip, she's trying to represent herself in the most feminine way possible. Why? Because that is her true, natural self. Either you got it or you don't. And I'm sorry to say, most women on the dating market today, they simply don't got it.
I cook, I clean, I provide for my family as a girl. What else? And I like the traditional role models.
Fantastic.
Notice how she still didn't say anything about her degree, how much money she makes, what kind of car she drives, how independent she is. Instead of that, Hannah is talking about how she enjoys being traditional, how she likes if the man and the woman knows their role and their position in a relationship. You don't get to hear that a lot nowadays. And she said that she likes to provide for her family as a girl. Now, let me translate that for you, because I grew up in a traditional household as well. Her saying that, she meant that she cooks breakfast, lunch, dinner, she cleans with no questions asked. And I assume that Hannah still lives at home with her parents. It doesn't matter. Women like that, they're going to live at their parents' house until they are getting married. Well, she comes home on time. There is no staying out late, clubbing till the morning time, coming home drunk, coming home with a man.
I'm going to tell you guys something very interesting. So when I was overseas, if it wasn't for the events of 2020, there were so many women that I had that were just at my fingertips, and the events of 2020 just messed it up for me. There was one woman I was dealing with. I had a friend, and he was trying to set me up with his best friend, and this girl was pretty interesting. She was a nutritionist. But she lived at home with her parents, and she had curfew. She had to be home like constantly, like by like 8 or 9. Like she had to be like the sun went down, and her parents basically had her inside. And this woman she was in her 20s. She was a grown woman. She was a nutritionist. She was like maybe 24, 25 years old, and she was a good-looking girl. But this is just how it is with foreign women. Like, a lot of them will remain at home with their parents until they get married. Their parents, their fathers, they have like it's hard to like it's the rule, it's different. Like, it's not even like, okay, well, you're living under my roof, this is how you're going to operate. It's not even like that. Like, in the United States, well, people don't want to live with their parents because their parents are like, oh, if you live with me, you're gonna have to do things a certain way. It's not even like I wouldn't even say it's like that. It's literally like it's literally like, regardless if you live with me or you're not with me, you're gonna live a certain way, and you're not going to be out in the streets. It's a pattern. Even that friend who he introduced me to her, his own girlfriend. If he wanted to see his girlfriend, he had to go to her house because her parents basically, I'm not saying lock her up, but she's not going to be in the streets. And this is how it is. This is how it is in a lot of other countries. Like, basically the transfer goes like, from the father's house to the husband's house, and that's it. There's no in between. There's no, okay, well, she's gonna move out and go live with this boyfriend, and no, there's no in between, you know. And that's just how it's supposed to be. You know, when you look at a lot of other countries as well, like even my friend, even that same friend, he lived with his mother. He lived with his mother, his sister. I mean, they all lived together, and this is just kind of in a house, and this is just the norm. Like, the extended family in other countries is pretty big. Like, if you're not married, if you're not like, with your spouse, you have no business out there in the streets. Like, families stay together. You leave your parents' house when you're moving in with your wife, or when if you're a girl, when you're moving in with your husband. That's basically how it works. There's no in between, and it's just a big difference compared to Western society. Because I've said this before, I'll say it again. The streets are always called for these women. The streets are always calling, and unless they are raised a certain way and it's instilled in them that they will not go out into the streets. I remember, like, Chris Rock. Chris Rock talked about this. He said, people said, well, Chris, why didn't you do something when Will put his hands on you at the Oscars? And Chris said, because I have parents. And that was such a strong statement. Chris was cursing up a storm, but the thing is, because he did a show on Netflix where he finally talked about what happened between him and Will Smith. But he said, I have parents, and he said his mother was sitting in the audience. And this is the thing: if you don't raise your children right, then you're gonna have to raise your grandchildren. He talked about his daughter, and he gave her everything, but his daughter and decided that she was gonna go and get wasted with some friends, and he basically made sure that she would learn consequences, or else she would end up on Only Fools, because he knew that's exactly where she was gonna go. If he did not teach her consequences, she was gonna end up on Only Fools. And the only reason, and she was gonna do it because she wanted to make, she wanted to get his attention. She wanted daddy to see. She's like, this is daddy. She'd put her, she'd be on Only Fools, and her name would be on there, like whatever her name is, like Larissa Rock or whatever, Larissa Rock or whatever, and she'd be on Only Fools, and spread eagle, and she's like, she wants daddy to see. She wants daddy to see his little girl, see how his little girl has grown up. And that's just the reality. She'd be on there to spite him. So, he had to teach her consequences, or else that's where she was going to end up, because let's be very clear. Only Fools is the street. The streets lead to Only Fools, and Only Fools leads to the street. But Only Fools is the streets. Only Fools is the streets. If you're on Only Fools, you're in the streets. All right, you're in the streets, guys. Don't forget that I haven't. Don't forget that at the end of the day, women basically brought this reality onto themselves. They said that they didn't want men, and now this is the reality that they're in. I tell you, guys, don't forget to check out Soraya's channel. I've linked her in the description of the video. You can go check her out, watch a full video there. Passport bro alert. Feminine women do exist, and they're basically competing. They're in Germany, they're in other countries, they're competing. Let me know what you guys think regarding everything we discussed, and we'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, men walking away, and cheers.